Okay, next up is Milky Subway, the Galactic Limited Express. I believe this is a short series that I've seen way more fan art of than I thought, considering that I have not seen anyone in English talk about how good this show is or talk about watching this show. I have seen a lot of people in I've seen a lot of Japanese people talk about this series, but basically no one in English. So I think it's subbed on YouTube. So let's see what it's about.
Well, that was certainly one of the most unique looking anime I've ever seen. I just finished all of Milky Subway, the Galactic Limited Express. Forget what the full title is, but it's a short series. It's a very short series. Total runtime is 36 minutes, and it's 12 episodes, so like 3.5 minute episodes. That's including credits, which are also very short. It's a very briskly paced series as well, so it's not a slow 3.5 minutes. Episodes are in and out before you know it. Not a lot happens in it aside from like a little mini mystery on board a subway train in space with a bunch of delinquents doing community service essentially. The characters are fun. Really enjoyed seeing them interact. The dialogue is probably like the snappiness of the dialogue and the comedic timing is definitely my favorite part of this show. And so like that really helps push the really helps keep the pacing brisk and snappy and such. Characters are fine. They're not particularly deep in any way. I wasn't expecting a whole lot in a half hour of runtime, and there were some decent little turns here and there. Like I liked how the two guys whose names I already forgot, like they get turned. One of the things they mention when they're getting booked at the police station is that they left one of their jobs because they didn't feel appreciated and no one thanked them for their work. And then later in the series, when they get paid to do something by the other characters, one of them thanks them, and they kind of get taken aback by that, and they're like, well, you know what? Let's stick around with these people. I did appreciate like the little stuff like that. There was one weird sex joke in this that I don't think worked at all. It was very weird and just not like good, and it really stuck out in terms of the rest of the content of the show. So I'm not really sure why it's there. But I think the point of this show is the vibes. Like, aside from the snappy dialogue, the reason you are watching this show is because you love an 80s aesthetic. That is the main reason to watch this show. Aside from the fact that the animation is pretty detailed, it's full CG, and it's actually really solid full CG. I don't think I was really giving that enough credit when I was watching it, because these are like fully realized CG models that move really well and look pretty good, and the 80s aesthetic certainly helps in making them look good. The fact that there is a very distinctive style to this really helps. Like, you've got the vaporwave colors. There was literally a Blade Runner reference at one point on one of the billboards. The design of like all the buildings and stuff feel very Blade Runner-y in a way. One of the characters is like her clothes are like a tank top and then like an oversized sweatshirt like you would see in like 80s workout videos, like. And then a lot of the other clothing designs match a similar 80s aesthetic. It is so incredibly 80s. And I don't really care about that aesthetic. I don't dislike the aesthetic. I think it's an okay aesthetic. It's just not one that I'm like, oh yeah, give me more of this all the time. It's just not like, it's not a thing I grew up with. I'm more of a 90s kid. And it's not something that I think is super cool looking. So it's good. It's just not something I actively seek out. If this is your aesthetic, you will love how this show looks. And I like how the action scenes were timed to the music. It's a little corny, but otherwise good. And I do like that the plot just sort of jumps around a little bit, and you see different, like, we weave in different parts of the characters' stories at particular points, just when it's like most relevant to the story. Yeah, this is it's a solid show. I don't think I'm ever gonna revisit it, especially now that I know how everything plays out. But it was definitely fun while I was watching it. And apparently there's a short prequel that's around the same length as the other episodes that came out like 3 years ago. I watched that after I finished this. And it does lead into the main plot of the series as well. So I would recommend looking up that as well. It's called Milky Highway as opposed to Milky Subway. The prequel short is on YouTube. I looked, all of the Milky Subway is on YouTube, but I could only find the English dub of it apparently. So I just went to other places for the subbed version. Yeah. This was pretty fun. Not a whole lot else to say.
Alright, Milky Subway is complete. We're gonna put it just above Clevitus, actually, right in there with a decent 6. It was fun. It was fun time. Alright, next, The Water Magician. I think this one's an isekai, actually. I think we actually have 2 isekais back to back here. Haven't heard anyone talk about this one at all. So let's give it a shot.
Oh my god, that's so incredibly boring. I'm so fucking bored. It's an isekai, alright, and it does pretty much all the things that I've seen other isekai do, but with less interest in it, and just worse scripting, worse cinematography. The OP tricks you. The OP tries to trick you with like, whoa, damn, they put so much fucking effort into this OP. There's a shit ton of Sakuga and high frame rate animation. Maybe this show's gonna look really cool. It's mid. This show looks so fucking mid. It is so boring to look at. Lame. That should be illegal. This show's so fucking boring.
Alright, Water Magician is off the list. Up next, Onmyo Kaiten Rebirth Verse. Love me a goddamn nonsense word salad anime title. Let's see what it does.
No, just no. I originally, when this first started, I was like, oh, this isn't as completely incompetent as I thought it was going to be based on the title. And then I was wrong. It's another isekai thing, but with an exorcist blend to it, which I expected from the Onmyo part of the title. And it also seems like it's like also time loopy, kind of, as well. But that's where it starts to piss me off because, according to the main character, this is we hit the 2000th time that this has happened to him. But he's acting like it's the second time. Like he's making the exact same mistakes someone would make on their like second or third time through a time loop of like not understanding quite what's happening. But he says it's his 2000th time doing it. And that just pisses me off that they would do that. Because, so like, clearly he's not smart and is just not going to learn. And if he does learn at this point, why make it the 2000th time? Also, the animation is a bit mid. Not particularly bad by any stretch, but it is definitely of an aesthetic that you don't see good anime made out of. The show's not good.
Okay, take this stupid exorcist isekai off the list. And let's see, next is Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant. This gonna be like, that the isekai restaurant that I made a bad video about Yashike about a while ago? Who knows? Probably not. Or maybe. What was that one called? Isekai Shokudo? Maybe? Whatever. Let's see what this one's about.
Well, I made it 2 episodes into Welcome to the Outcast's Restaurant before realizing that it was that kind of show, by which I mean, how do I describe this kind of show? Bad things happen to cute girls, and so a big strong man comes in to save them, and they just sort of congregate around them, whatever you would call that genre of show. And this one is particularly seedy about it in like a kind of gross way. First episode, he buys a slave girl, and she becomes his waitress, just out of gratitude, I guess. Second episode, he saves a girl from being raped, and she just hangs out at his restaurant now eating free food. And, it's just kind of seedy and gross in a way. The way that it's presented makes it even more so. And it's also not particularly good looking. The girls are cute, which is probably the only thing they put a ton of effort into. And the action scenes were okay. The action scene in the second episode was okay. It's pretty decent, but yeah, I don't like how it's written. Don't like the premise. And this is another one where it's like, oh, they kicked the guy out of the hero party, and now he has to go do something else. And this guy is like too perfect. Like he's just good at everything. It seems like. They're like, obviously, they say in the first episode that he's like, he hit the level cap. So, like, obviously he's going to be good at all the, like, magic and combat stuff. But, like, he's also just, like, too perfect as a person to the point where it's kind of annoying. Like, he just doesn't have any flaws, it seems. Yeah, I'm just not feeling this one.
Okay, Outcast Restaurant is Dunzo, off the list. Next, Betrothed to My Sister's Ex. I think this is a fantasy one, or like a historical fantasy one, maybe. I'm not sure. Did not see anyone talk about this one. Let's see how it do.
Oh, I wish I wasn't so ugly, says the most conventionally attractive anime character you've ever fucking seen. I would have accepted like plain or homely or like average or just any of those things except ugly. But she specifically said ugly. You're not gonna get me to believe that ever. I got like a quarter of the way through the first episode of this one. It's aside from that, it's just meh. They really go overboard with this sister is so great and hot and awesome and we all want to marry her, and then this sister is frumpy and ugly and not worth anything and has to do all the housework for everyone else. And I think it's about to go somewhere with the fact that the hot sister actually does care about the frumpy sister. But I don't care. It is very funny, though, that the lead-in to the betrothal that's going to happen eventually is that she's just a... what do you call weeaboo for Arabic culture? What do you call that? Because essentially, like, she meets a dark-skinned prince of sorts and starts gushing about how she loves his culture. So, very funny. I don't mind that part, actually. I just think it's kind of funny. It looks fine, otherwise. It kind of looks like Hamefura a little bit. Maybe it's just because... Maybe I'm just thinking that because I watched the Hamefura movie a little while ago, and that also has a dark-skinned prince in it. From nameless Middle Eastern country. Well, that country had a name, but I don't remember what it was. Anyway, this show is... I don't really care for it.
Alright, Betrothed to My Sister's Ex is off the list. Next is With You and the Rain. I think I heard some people talk about this. I didn't really see anybody post about it, and I think it involves a tanuki. I think. Let's find out.
Honestly, I'm mostly just kind of bored. There's nothing particularly wrong with it aside from the fact that it's boring. It's very slow, very deliberately paced, and it's doing it on purpose, which is fine if you like that kind of stuff. I typically don't, unless the aesthetics are really able to like let you marinate in it. And there's nothing bad about the way this looks. There's a lot of attention paid to color palettes and lighting effects and such. There's nothing wrong with the animation, although it is a little stark. There's a lot of negative space in this show, in the shots in this show. And I think that's meant to be symbolic sort of our character's mental state of how she's just sort of kind of there, just kind of drifting through, in a sense. That's sort of the impression I get from this character. She, like, it's sort of the fact that she accidentally calls her dad and then just immediately hangs up on him without a second thought and then calls her brother. There's definitely something there. I'm just kind of bored trying to get there. It's just not hooking me. That's really all I have to say. It's just not hooking me.
Okay, With You and the Rain is off the list. Next is Private Tutor to the Duke's Daughter. Another one that I really haven't seen anybody talk about. Maybe it'll be funny. Maybe it'll be romantic. Hopefully it'll be decent looking. Who knows? Let's find out.
Nope. Nope, 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 nope. No. First of all, looks incredibly mediocre. Just so below average in everything. Comedy's not funny. Just not interesting at all. The one thing that was kind of interesting, someone's mowing the lawn now, that's cool. One thing that was kind of interesting, I guess, is that it's sort of implied that this guy's teacher made him fail the test so that he could send him off to be a tutor for the Duke's daughter, which is kind of interesting. I would be more pissed off if that's what's implied. I would certainly be much more pissed off if I was the guy. In any case, the only thing that's really noteworthy about this at all is that for some reason the Duke's daughter reminds me of Kanata from Hololive. Maybe it's just that hair ornament that kind of looks like the one that Kanata has. I've been listening to her albums a lot lately. They're good. Would recommend. Yeah, this show's it's not funny. It's not pleasant to look at. Don't like it.
Alright. Private tutor to the Duke's daughter. I prefer public school. Lol. Anyway, My Dress Up Darling, Season 2. Very hyped for this one. This was one of my favorites when... The first season was one of my favorites of the season when it came out. That was, what 3 or 4 years ago now? Goddamn. Yeah, I'm hyped. Let's go.
Alright. That's what I'm talking about. That was just as good as I was expecting it to be. Maybe even a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more. Just finished up all of My Dress Up Darling Season 2. Yeah. It's more of the first season, but also more. There was definitely... God, it's been... How long since the last season? It's got at least 2 years, probably 3 years. Might have been even 4 years. Was it 4 years? Because I did it for the third season of 12 Days of Anime. So, yeah, it's been at least... I think it's been 4 years. Fuck, man. But you know what? That's kind of the project cycle that you need for this one, because... Goddamn, this is one of the most impressive productions I've ever seen from... anything? Anime related? Like, this is like... This is definitely like up in like top 15, top 10 production, just in terms of like pure production capacity. The insane level of detail in the character acting and the costume design and the character designs and the color design, cinematography is so fucking insane and off the charts. The inventiveness with how stuff is portrayed in animation, how the screen is used, how the screen is split up and moved around, and the aspect ratio is changed. I will say there were some points where it just went to 4:3, and I didn't really know why, so it does go just a tad bit overboard, or maybe I just didn't get it, but it is not afraid to fuck with the frame in really interesting ways that make the shot just look so damn good. To be honest, a lot of this stuff, it actually made me realize, like, maybe I just generally like the 4:3 aspect ratio. Like, it's not quite as good for, like, landscape shots, but for, like, certain shots, it is really good for, like, in terms of, like, intimacy and such. And, like, eliminating negative space. Maybe that's why they were using it. Who knows? But there were just so... I've lost track of, like, all of the little interesting, quirky things that they do with the animation in terms of, like, the non-diegetic stuff, in terms of, like, just making the frame more interesting. And the diegetic stuff, too, as well. Just the way stuff moves in the frame. The character acting is so fucking phenomenal. I will say, this is definitely top 5 for character acting. I think it is definitely at least top 10. Like, this is one of the most impressive anime productions I've ever seen. Period. And my only knock really against it on that front is that the first episode has like the most impressive stuff in it. Maybe it's just because I've been gone from the series so long and they just hit you full force with fucking everything. Like, I do think the first episode is the best episode of this show. Not in the way that, or of this season, not in the way that everything else is bad. It's just that they front load stuff this series with so much fucking good shit, which I watched the first episode yesterday and then I watched everything else today, so I could barely remember all the tiny little details of what made that first episode so good, but goddamn, it really sticks in my head. And also, just from a narrative standpoint as well, there's a ton of really great character building stuff in this, with Gojo finally coming to terms with the fact that, like, not everyone hates people like him. Not everybody thinks that he's a weirdo for liking dolls or liking to do cosplay or makeup or stuff like that. And, like, it's like, oh, maybe it was just my one cousin who freaked out, and that she's the only one who really said that it was gross what I did, and I just overreacted a little bit and just bottled everything up. Now that he's around a bunch of very like-minded people, I will say maybe it's just because I'm I'm a millennial watching this, and so, like, I look at these essentially late Gen Z, potentially early Gen Alpha kids. I don't exactly know when Gen Alpha starts, but I'm looking at this and going, like, I don't know, I feel like everyone's being too accepting, too nice about all this stuff. Maybe it's just that the kids are better these days. I don't hang out with teenagers, so I can't say for sure, but maybe the kids are just alright, and they're just more accepting of this stuff in general than when I was in high school. I'm gonna go with that because it gives me more hope for humanity. But yeah, there were points where it was definitely like, are people being, like, just too accepting? Is it getting a little too unrealistic in that regard? But maybe it's just, like, me being cynical. I'm gonna take that as me being cynical. But also, all of the side characters that they introduce for this, not even introduced, well, pretty sure most of them were introduced in the first season, but now they get more fleshed out in the second season. All of Marin's classmates are very fun, and just, I love seeing them bounce off of each other and stuff, and the way that they integrate Gojo into the friend group. Not just because they see that he's an important person to Marin, but because they just think he's kind of cool. That was really cool. And, like, we have just, once again, much like the series as a whole, this season really hammers on the point of, like, it's okay to like the things that you like. It doesn't matter what age you are, what demographic you are, like, what gender you are, or even what, like, what your body type is. It's okay to do the things that you really enjoy doing. And that's, like, yeah, go back and watch my video on this on the main channel. I believe it was called Accepting Otakudom for my Dress Up Darling. It was probably on the first page of my video results, because I haven't been making that many videos, unfortunately. But, yeah, that one, this is just a really fantastic series in terms of, like, getting people to accept nerdy shit. And I mean like the really nerdy shit. Not the, oh, we turned this into a multi-billion-dollar franchise, so now it's just normie stuff. Now I'm talking about the real nerd shit, the horror games, like the I believe it's a Corpse Party stand-in, or maybe that's dating me too, that I associated Coffin with Corpse Party because that's my only entry point into the horror game genre. It's probably not that. It's probably more of a reference to something else that I just don't know about, but it's cool that they were able to integrate that into it. The cross-dressing stuff was so cool and so incredibly important to talk about because that's a foundation of the cosplay community, is crossplay. And just really just going into like the different facets of it, not just from like a philosophical or emotional standpoint, but also from like the technical standpoint of like what needs to be done in order for you to do crossplay and make it look good, like really cool. Amane, I think that was the guy character in this, was just very fun to watch. And sorry, my thoughts are being all scattered all over the place about this. Yeah, I do remember Twitter got very angry. Well, certain parts of Twitter got very angry during the crossplay sections of this because Twitter is just a fucking cesspool now of rightoid weirdos. But yeah, it's so incredibly important to remind people that crossplay is a huge part of the cosplay community, and I really, and like going along with the not even just the different genders and stuff, but the different body types and how you can either just accept that that is your body type and just roll with it, or you can do things with the cosplay to minimize the effects of your body type contrasting with the character that you're trying to portray, because a lot of it is out of respect for the character and not so like that's sort of the angle that they tackle it from, and it's just, it makes so much sense considering how immensely passionate these people are about their craft. And that's just so, it's just so cool seeing a bunch of characters that are really, really, really passionate about the thing that they do. Which Akira's backstory really worked really well for that, and how her parents kind of forced her to suppress that part of her. And then when she got to college, she got to meet people who liked that and brought that part back out of her. I will say that was the one plot point with Akira being a Marin stan of sorts, with Marin being her Oshi, where the setup for it was a little too much, I think. But it does make sense in hindsight with I thought, like, for most of the series, for most of the arc with these two, it's like, it makes it look like Akira hates her for some reason. Maybe it's because she's a gyaru or something like that. But, like, turns out that she's actually so into her that it becomes, like, difficult for her to even talk to her. Which, like, I understand that exists, but I think it just went, like, a little bit too hard on that in terms of, like, the misdirect, I think. Just a smidgen. I did like the reveal, though. It was very funny, and plays into the themes of just obsession and otakudom very well. Yeah, this is such a fun fucking series, and all the rom-com stuff was really good too. The fucking misunderstanding with Marin thinking Gojo bought like a fucking dick supplement when he actually just bought Monster, and her sweating that for like a fucking episode and a half was very funny. The misunderstanding was very well played. That's one of the things I like about the misunderstandings in My Dress Up Darling, aside from the Akira stuff, is like it's so over the top in a way where you realize like, oh, this is just, they're just having a laugh. They're not being super duper serious about the misunderstanding stuff to the point where it causes drama. They're just doing it for shits and giggles. And so that makes it just very fun to see those kind of interactions. But also, and that was probably my second slight disappointment with this season, is we still have not gotten a confession, even though we basically spent the back third of this season with Myrene trying to build herself up to doing a confession. Even though I was fairly certain we weren't going to get it, I was still disappointed that we didn't get it because they spend so much time building it up. But, oh well. If we get more Dress Up Darling and then we eventually get a confession... Actually, I don't even know how the manga goes, because the manga ended a little while ago, I believe. And I have no idea how much there is left to cover. I'm gonna guess there's at least 2 seasons worth left of content. I can't say that definitively, but I'm just gonna estimate that that's where we're at. Hopefully this team comes back to do more seasons of it. I would love to see where this show goes. And also, because not even just the romance stuff and the theming of it all, but just the cosplay stuff is so fucking cool. Just learning about cosplay. This is like... This show does like the same thing of like cute girls do hobbies shows. Like stuff like Yuri Camp and stuff, where it really goes into the granular detail of the hobby in a way that's super interesting and fun. And also the animation and attention to detail in the art goes such a long way in conveying that. God, this was such a fun series. I don't know if it's quite into the favorites realm yet. It's certainly up there. But man, if you're not on My Dress Up Darling yet, what the fuck are you doing, man? Watch this show. It's really fucking good.
Alright, My Dress Up Darling Season 2 is complete. We're going to scroll up, and we're going to put you in the number 4 slot for right now with a strong 8. Not quite a favorite, not quite a 9, but man, that was really something.